Hello and welcome to Daily Politics on Trust TV. On this program, we discuss issues around politics, policy, and governance. I am Shafiu Suleiman. The outgoing Chief Justice of Nigeria, Muhammad Tanko, was sworn in on January 23, 2019, following an expletive order of the Court of Conduct Tribunal, which suspended former Chief Justice Walter Onnoghen from office on grounds of false declaration of assets. On July 17, 2019, he was confirmed by the Senate as the substantive Chief Justice of Nigeria and subsequently sworn in by President Muhammadu Buhari. 3 years down the line, Tanko will resign on grounds of ill health. Many are, however, of the opinion that the jurist's resignation is not unconnected to a protest letter written and signed by 14 justices of the Supreme Court, which accused Tanko of mismanagement. Few hours after his resignation, Justice Olukayode Areola, the most senior judge in the Supreme Court, was sworn in acting capacity by the President. Take a look.
The nation woke up to reports on Monday morning that Justice Tanko Muhammad had resigned from his position as Chief Justice of Nigeria on health grounds. After some initial doubts, the former CJN Special Assistant on Media, Ahuraka Issa, confirmed the development. The mantle has fallen swiftly on Justice Olukayode Areola, who is the next most senior judge. Justice Areola was later sworn in the afternoon as acting Chief Justice of Nigeria by President Muhammadu Buhari, who applauded the Nigerian judiciary under the leadership of the former CJN.
CJN Tanko dealt firmly with the issue of reckless and indiscriminate grant of ex parte orders that was assuming serious dimensions. History will be kind to Justice Tanko Muhammad for his modest contributions to Nigeria's judiciary, the strengthening of our democracy, and national development.
He also hints of the challenges ahead.
Our nation is approaching a critical general election in 2023. The judiciary must not do anything to fail the ordinary people of Nigeria, which may make them lose confidence in the judiciary.
The new acting Chief Justice is aware of the huge responsibilities he has to bear.
What Nigerians expect from me is to comply, preserve and abide and protect the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
But he is quick to dismiss speculations that the former Chief Justice of Nigeria resigned because of controversy in the judiciary.
It was an internal memo of the court. It was not a petition. It was not a letter. It was addressed by the brother justices of the Chief Justice and presented to him, his lordship, directly. There were issues to be resolved amongst justices. Yeah, we've started resolving it.
Justice Areola was born on August 22, 1958, and was appointed a Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria in 2011. He was a Justice of the Court of Appeal between 2005 and 2011, after having elevated from the State High Court of Oyo State. Justice Areola was first appointed a Judge of Superior Court of Record in Oyo State in 1992 from private legal practice. Before his elevation to the Supreme Court, he served as Justice of the Court of Appeal in Kaduna, Enugu, and Lagos divisions. From State House, Abuja, Kehinde Amudu, Trust TV News.
We're now joined by Barrister Abdulhamid Muhammad, a senior advocate of Nigeria, as well as Barrister Dare Olabi, to discuss the issues surrounding the judiciary, as well as Justice Tanko's resignation as Chief Justice of Nigeria. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you for
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening.
Right. Let me start with Abdulhamid.
Yes, please.
You know, the development is quite, unprecedented and unique. The sudden resignation of the former CJN.
Yes.
And of course, the issues surrounding I mean, the resignation itself.
Yes.
Let me get your, your initial thoughts, when you see, the announcement, or the statement made with regards to his resignation.
Yes, like you said, it's unprecedented in the sense that it has never happened to my memory in the history of the Supreme Court. For a serving Chief Justice of Nigeria to have some perceived prejudice, because from my own humble opinion, this issue of the letter which is being addressed is, from the caption of the letter which has been in circulation, is that it's the state of affairs of the Supreme Court, which ran through the issue of the welfare of justices, to do as petty as issue of diesel, as petty as subscription of some services to do with internet services. There are issues that are being addressed, but the whole issue about it is the welfare of these justices, to do with their transportation, to do with their accommodation. Now, it has never happened. And then when it happened, actually, suddenly, the Chief Justice of Nigeria now presented his resignation letter on the issue of ill health. But to me, from my opinion, perhaps it's not really issue of ill health that must have occasioned that. Perhaps maybe the letter being addressed, on the state of affairs of the Supreme Court, which has not been addressed, and then which, if that happened, actually, it sent a signal to the office of the Chief Justice of Nigeria that issues are going wrong. And then it comes, perhaps it coincided with him being ill, and then he presented his letter of resignation to the president.
Well, the issue of ill health, it didn't start now. Some say he has been ill in the last 9 months or so. He's been managing his health with the pressure of the work, on him and what have you. But then, notwithstanding the fact that it is coincided with this letter, talking about mismanagement and what have you, do you see the combination of these factors leading to the former CJN, quitting his position?
I will answer the question in affirmative.
Okay. Why?
Which means yes. First and foremost, if the former CJN says his health is bad, I will be compelled to believe him because he owns his body. Yeah. However, I've read comments on print media and electronic media and other social media saying that it is unprecedented. I don't think I would like to agree with that.
But we have never had such a scenario in Nigeria's history.
I'm a student of history. I think I will advise that we check the circumstances that led to the exit of Justice Elias from the Supreme Court in 1975.
Are there similar circumstances?
Yes, sir. He was accused of bias in a case he presided over. If you have the time, I can give you the fact of the case.
But in this case,
he was accused.
Tanko, based his resignation on health grounds. So we are not talking about. He's not talking about the allegations or the petition. He's talking about his personal health.
The government communication to Nigerians, as at the time Justice Elias left in 1975, was not that he fouled any law. It was that he was going for an higher responsibility, which was an appointment in Hague.
Yeah, but they are not similar. That's what I'm talking about.
But it is similar. But what led to his removal from that seat was because he assisted an uncle who sponsored him in school.
But in this case, we're not talking about removal. We're talking about resignation on voluntary resignation.
Okay, now let's look at it from this angle. There is no letter go from anywhere to Elias saying that he should exit the office. he voluntarily resigned from that office, haven't been shown the volume of evidence against him, on the petition written against him. He voluntarily resigned. And because of his contribution to the development of law in Nigeria, the Murtala Obasanjo regime at that point in time decided to send him to Hague.
Okay, I'm coming back to Lamid.
So it's not unprecedented.
Yes, he is alluding to the fact that there might be much, that pass, under the pipe and so on. It is not just about the ill health. Perhaps he mentioned ill health, perhaps to cover. That's if I understand your position.
Very
well. The real issues are those lines of the petitions, especially those involved. Alleging mismanagement or so.
Yes. Yes, you see, I still maintain my position is quite unprecedented. And why I say that in a number of reasons are that we have not seen in my memory, spanning almost 30 years in practice, seen, a situation whereby justices of the Supreme Court will have a unity of purpose, almost about 14 or 13 of them now to address a letter. Perhaps there could be issues being agitated even among them. And that issue perhaps has not been addressed. And now we have seen a letter written, to the Chief Justice of Nigeria, telling him that, look, this is our agitation. And then a committee has to be constituted, because of that agitation, which perhaps is real. Perhaps it's not just an issue that could be gone with the wave of the hand. A committee was constituted, and the committee now promised to look at those issues. And then immediately that is done in a very few days. And then the Chief Justice of Nigeria now, decided to tender his resignation on the issue of ill health. But to me, it was all humility. My own opinion, which I still strongly hold, is that there could be both the agitation that has been mounting and perhaps the pressure of those justices and that of the ill health. And perhaps maybe because of the letter, which has addressed so fundamental issues in it, that maybe must have, caused some ill health if he has an underlying ill health, and that must have, deteriorated the issue, into saying that, look, it's better for me to leave this job. Maybe somebody else, can perform better than me.
Yeah, or perhaps, thinking that leaving the scene would douse the tension. But it's far from over. Anyway, we'll talk about that later.
Yes.
But let's look at the critical issues.
Yes.
The issues contained in that petition.
Yes.
And his response. I've also read his response.
Yes.
Through his, is it media aid or his personal aid or so?
Yes.
He did mention that all the issues raised by the senior justices was actually being addressed.
Yes.
He also talked about the paucity of funds, which led to the slowdown of some of the interventions and what have you.
Yes.
If there is any pressure, and of course there is also a response,
yes,
do you think that would warrant him quitting his job just like that?
Yes. You see, first I will just have to. The impression being created about that letter is, even the acting CJN has said it's not a petition. I heard him say that.
Memo, anyway.
He said it's an internal memo stating the affairs, the current affairs of the Supreme Court, which the fundamental issues being addressed in the petition or in the letter is certainly issue of welfare of justices. Yes. And then I have read through it, and I have discovered there's a reaction by the office of the CJN in respect of that, and he said that issues are going to be addressed, and a committee has been constituted.
That part of them have already been addressed.
Has been addressed, and then in addition, paucity of fund. Well, this issue of paucity of fund, to me, is that every year there should be a budget of the Supreme Court, as an entity, or to the National Judicial Council. Whoever presented that budget, they have a current and recurrent expenditure. Capital expenditure, and each vote need to be spent, within certain limits. So I don't see, perhaps from my own, I'm not working. I've never worked with government. I've never worked with any of the arms of government. But to me, is that there should be this issue of financial discipline in a way that...
But part of the, sorry, I'm
Yes.
not just interjecting, but part of the explanation given
Yes.
was that there is change in the economic dynamics, for instance.
Yes.
They talked about the diesel
Yes.
amount,
Yes.
at the point the
Yes.
budget was done,
Yes.
and then and the price now,
Yes.
which has also almost tripled, so to
Yes.
speak.
Yes.
And then there is no excuse.
Yes.
The affairs, I mean, the operations of the judiciary has to keep applaud.
Yes.
It has to continue,
Yes.
no matter the
Yes.
the deficit in
Yes.
terms of the budgeting and what
The
have
budget,
you.
yes.
And then it seems that like the former CJN was in the tight corner
Yes.
with regards to managing the limited resources.
Yes.
Could that be a tenable
yes,
issue?
you see, this is a question of policy, and the question of necessity of certain services that need to be in place. You can look at checklists and look at the priorities. What do we have to forego and attend the other? When you talk of the subscription of internet services to Supreme Court justices, it's not something that we can just do it with a wave of hand. Justices are being addressed, matters are being filed in court, they have to research and they have to write judgment. And then in writing judgment, is the highest court of the land. And whatever they do, they have to be careful about other matters that they must have passed judgment on. So these are issue of priorities that, the office of the CGN will have to look at. Now, issue of diesel, yes, we know that the prices have skyrocketed. But then you have to now look at the variables in place and see which is more crucial, for the welfare of the justices. It's not only issue of diesel. They even mention issue of accommodation. Some of the justices are still residing in Court of Appeal quarters, and they have already been elevated to the Supreme Court.
They also talked about transportation.
And they talk about transportation.
But the immediate past CJN also talk about the fact that most of them have
there should be actually
new
a policy,
set of vehicle and what have
yes,
you.
there should be a policy in place on how to govern, how to administer, an entity. You see, these are some of the issues.
Olabi, now looking at this, facts and of course the situation on ground, is it to say that the CJN, the former CJN, quit, as a result of his inability to manage or to put together all of this? The challenges, quite observed. The paucity of funds, the challenges of running the affairs of the judiciary, and all of that. Is it that he lacked, the capacity or the competence, to run the affairs of the judiciary? That perhaps led to his quitting the position because he can no longer cope with the challenge. Is that the situation?
The former CJN, with due respect, happened to be a product of an abuse of due process.
What do you mean by that?
He left the way he came.
How is it? I need to expatiate.
An ex parte application, you read it here, all of us listening to you,
concerning
was used to remove a CJN. That, to me...
Isn't that abnormal? Is it not part of the practice?
Up to today, I've done a lot of research in law. I've never seen where that law, that order, can be funded. You can't premise that order on any provisions of our law or decided cases in any of our courts.
Are you saying that there are no punitive measures or there are no mechanisms to address issues of gross...
Of course, there are. But that was not the mechanism that was followed. That's what we are saying. Now, the question is this.
Doesn't the NJC, for instance, has the capacity to recommend?
That is what the NJC has the capacity to discipline hearing members. Just like what happened now. Just like what happened now, that 14 justices of the Supreme Court decided to confront their head. Now come, guys, you're not doing well.
Are you insinuating a gang up against him, or are you saying that there's more to it than what people see?
What I'm saying is that
there is a more like a kind of sort of a gang up now to say, okay,
let me put it this way.
You have to leave. We have to create problems.
Like the new CJN rightly put it. That so-called letter or memo was supposed to be an internal communication among.
How did it get viral?
Let's leave that aspect for now.
No, but we need to interrogate.
Sorry, I'm going somewhere.
Who made it public?
Sorry,
why is it public?
That one is.
It means there's a motive behind it. Is that what you're saying?
I don't work there. I don't know. I don't know what other happens.
No, because you're talking about, perhaps justifying.
No, I want you to. Maybe
action,
allow me to.
Okay.
Allow me to explain what I wanted to explain.
Okay,
what I'm saying is that if the justices of the Supreme Court sufficiently got convinced that our head is not doing well. I don't want to know, let's not go into whether he's corrupt or is administratively incompetent or is ill-head. We don't want to go into that.
Okay.
But they've come together and jointly wrote a letter that, Oga, you are not doing well by our profession. By our profession. What that simply presupposes is that confidence is lost in you. And what we do most times, if I'm a presiding officer in a case and a letter of such comes to me from
yourself.
I will recuse myself. So he has not done anything new in law. So when they say it's unprecedented, but the learned Sikh has clarified the issue of that unanimous decision of other justices except him, saying that, Oga, you're not doing well. That one is unprecedented. I agree with the SAN completely. Right. But the question here is that nothing has been done by the Honorable Justice Tanko Mohammed that has never been done before in judiciary in Nigeria.
Well, okay, yes, the point is making, I understand, that the lack of confidence, it's a very serious matter in judiciary anyway.
Yes.
And of course, part of his response was that justices of this caliber, and justices generally, should be seen, not heard.
Yes.
And in this case, they went public. In fact, he accused them of dancing naked in the public square.
Yes, I've seen that.
So, the combination of all of this, perhaps, and the lack of confidence, seeming lack of confidence, could it be a driving force behind this resignation?
Yes, like I said earlier, it could be both, you see. Because if justices of the Supreme Court, the number 2 justice down the ladder, will have a unanimous opinion, on one issue to do with the office of the CJN, then it's a very fundamental issue. There are some that have just been elevated to the Supreme Court, yet they still hold that opinion because it was a joint letter, a joint memo, stating the same facts, and then alleging the same issues. Then it means, perhaps, even if it's an internal memo, is perhaps maybe a vote of no confidence, on the part of the office of the CJN. And then it now coincided with his ill health. But the reason given now is ill health. But I was seeing, perhaps, from my own humble opinion, is that it could be both. Yes, both, perhaps, the pressure of saying that, look, this is our predicament and it has not been addressed. And then maybe he's in the process of addressing it and it becomes so complex, and it becomes something that he could not even surmount.
And there were also speculations that it added to the ill health.
Perhaps maybe
the issue of there was some are speculating that perhaps it has to do with some sort of dementia.
Yes.
Because at some point during their meetings he couldn't recall some of the resolutions and couldn't address some of the
fundamental
gaps,
issues
and all of that.
Yes.
Okay. But coming back to some would say you have to give it to the former, the immediate past CJN for exhibiting that level of professionalism, and of course something that hasn't been done in the past. We haven't seen people just quitting their jobs because of allegations or because of petitions or whatever. This is a tight attitude among Nigerians. Even where perhaps some other persons, he will hold on to his position and continue to drag, and he has 1.5 years, before his retirement. Isn't this also called for, some commendation, so to speak, from Nigerians for someone to take such a decision, a very bold decision, irrespective of the fact that it is against his own wish, perhaps.
I don't agree with you that somebody who is trying very hard to avoid embarrassment should be commended. Let me tell you this. I'm happy I'm not alone here. The learned sick is here, and if I'm lying about what I want to say, you will tell us.
Make your point.
Judiciary is in trouble.
Why is it in trouble?
Let us leave the CJN. CJN is just one of the factors, numerous factors affecting judiciary.
Why is it in trouble?
Do you know that? We are talking about, we're supposed to have 21 justices in the Supreme Court. Before he resigned, we had 15, now we have 14. And people are saying that they should recruit more hands and that will help the Nigerian population is 200 million, whether true or false. American population is over 300 million. They have 9 justices of the Supreme Court. And we have 14.
But the practice.
But they are never found wanting. It is working tools.
That's what I'm going to say.
So
now.
it is working tools.
Okay.
See, when I appeared in court, and then you are writing my name, you would spend about 10 minutes writing our names. And you have like 20 cases on your course list. When electronic gadgets can record all this, and then all you need to do is just to listen to us and watch our demeanor. And then when you want to give your judgment, listen to what has been recorded and give your judgment. What is difficult in that?
Okay. It's raising a very fundamental question.
Yes.
I mean, issue.
Yes.
It becoming, it is telling on our justices. You can even see from the new CJN now, Justice Ariola, looking gray, completely.
Yes.
It shows that, our justice system is yet to take the trajectory of transformation that is going on, global transformation, especially in the area of ICT. I think it's raising a very fundamental issue.
Yes.
Do you see this, contributing to the challenge we're facing today?
Yes, you see, I think the state of affairs of that letter, whether internal or external memo, still addresses issue of welfare. But then, welfare has, welfare of a judicial officer has a direct link with administration of justice. Now, if the welfare of the judicial officer has not been taken care of, how will he administer justice? He's addressing issue of infrastructure in the courts. Now, perhaps when you go to High Court, when you go to Court of Appeal, you will see the costly nature of the courts. But why don't you go to area courts? Maybe in the northern Nigeria. You go to some of the magistrate courts that we have in the northern states of Nigeria. When you go to maybe even grade 1 or grade 2 area courts, some of the courts you will not have enough seats for litigants to sit.
Not to talk of electronic gadgets.
Not to talk of electronic gadgets. And then I can recall that the former CJ of the FCT, Honorable Justice Gumi, retired, he put those facilities in place for addressing if a witness is giving evidence, he is being recorded automatically. And then if you need the record of that proceedings, the next day you can apply and you get the transcript of it duly certified by the court. But I can tell you, I practice in Abuja, those gadgets, some of the justices, some of the judges there, they don't use them. Maybe because of the attitude being developed, to be manual and to be conservative about taking proceedings. Those gadgets could be there and they are not utilized. And a judge may just decide to still be taking proceedings longhand as is being obtained. Now, infrastructure could be in place in the traditional way. And that brought delay in the administration of justice. So perhaps what my colleague is saying about trouble, this trouble is on and on and on. And that is why any CJ, perhaps, you see, when we talk of the CJN is the chairman of the National Judicial Council, and that they only recruit, discipline, and promote judicial officers, federal judicial officers, not magistrates, not area courts. So you can see the schedule of duties of the office of the CJN is quite enormous. Beside the fact that he is not excused from sitting in the open court as a judicial officer too. He chairs the National Judicial Council. Perhaps he has a work to do with the federal, what do they call that commission that did to do with recruitment?
The judiciary.
The Federal Judicial Service Commission.
That's right.
You know, he has a role to play. And then if the
He's the
National Judicial Institute
the
too,
chairman.
yes, if the National Judicial Institute too, they have a program also. He
So
is
the
supposed
workload
to
is
too.
enormous.
Yes, so is the enormous, is quite enormous, both official and judicial functions of the office of the CJ. So, going to the issue of whether he should be commended or not, my own opinion is that he really needs to be commended
for taking that bold step.
for taking a bold step. Because it's just like if a judge is sitting in a matter and you file a motion before him and you say that, my lord, please recuse yourself from this matter.
Yeah.
Because I believe that you are related to one or two of the parties.
That's right.
And that please excuse yourself. You know, any judicial officer being challenged in that respect of being biased.
That's how to
Of
pitch.
course, if he doesn't have the bias in mind, he will just say, oh, fine. I will transfer this case
Rescue
back to,
himself,
and then there are other judges who can handle this.
That's right.
And then if the CJN,
And it's a matter of morality.
yes,
It's a matter
morality,
of-
and then not even because he has some statutory duties to you know, to function as a CJ. But then if he see that those statutory duties under his office has not been addressed, he has both the moral and the legal right to now say, look, the best way is, because maybe he may look at the later, the issues that are being addressed. Maybe these my colleagues are saying I'm incompetent. Then let me just excuse myself,
please.
and then
That's
so that another person can come in and then take the right step. So, but you don't hardly see that being done.
happen. That's the point.
You know,
though.
both in the executive and in the legislative arm of government.
Yeah, and that's why I said it wasn't, a normal practice. It wasn't something that is being seen.
Let me make a point to disagree with Senior NSC.
Well, okay, very quickly, because you also...
because the point I'm trying to make is that
Yes.
as the chairman of NJC and then chairman of National Judicial Council, the National
Judicial
what
Institute.
do you call it? Institute of whatever they call it. He has powers to employ able hands for administrative duties. So the excuse of the bulk of work on his table is not, for me, sufficient for
But it's not just about him alone. Just you talked about, we talked about the deficit in terms of the number and the workload, and of course the practice.
I just told you
the
number is not supposed to be an issue. We have 21
But you also
here.
agreed that the practice is not, the environment is not conducive.
It's conducive. They made it not conducive.
In other clients.
They made it not conducive for themselves. The NSC just simply says something now that in certain courts, these gadgets were made available for them to record proceedings. Some of the judges didn't use it. Who do you blame for that? But in Abuja here, FCT as a whole, there is no such gadgets anywhere in FCT court, except the Federal High Court. And I think I've seen it only in CJ Court and
Supreme Court,
Justice Staples
Court
Court.
of Appeal too.
In Federal High Courts. It doesn't happen here in FCT. They write in long hands. If they have 40 cases on their court list, they write in long hands. Even judgments are written in long hands.
Okay, let's look at the implication of this situation, or the crisis, if it is actually a crisis in the judiciary, with this, on the judicial system itself. Now, there has been concern about sustaining the reforms, some of those reforms that are being carried out. You would have to give the credit to the immediate CJN for standing firm, and taking certain decisions against malpractices, so to speak, or against unprofessional conducts. At some point, he was against this conflicting
Court
orders, he promised to take certain drastic decision, and some commended him for that, for standing firm, to rescue, to safeguard, the sanctity and, of course, the professionalism of the judiciary. How do you see the implication of his quitting at this point in time? Do you think it will change anything in terms of the transformation that is going on?
Well, before I go to your question, I would like to know, was there any person in the judiciary that was punished for this act of misconduct under him?
Well, I should be asking you that.
Nobody. No one. See, there's a difference between making a speech to condemn and taking action to prevent future occurrence of this act. So to go to your question, after saying that, the Honorable Justice Tajuddin Ariwola, that is now the acting CJN of Nigeria, has a date with history. You don't tell, in my language, you don't tell the blind that the market is over. When he doesn't hear noise again, he will know that there's nobody in this place. Let me go home.
What does that imply?
What it implies is that he has seen two predecessors, how they exited the Supreme Court. If you want to go in that line, the choice is his.
You also have 1.5 years or so.
No, yeah, I think it's, but you know, if you say, I was discussing with the Learned Sikh before we came in. The Learned Sikh told me it was 1958. I told the Learned Sikh it was 1954 that I was born. But the introduction you gave us here said 1958. If he was born 1958, it means he will leave that place in 2026. Sorry, 27.
You mean the current CJN?
Yes.
The acting.
Even though it's acting, actually.
It's acting.
Yeah,
It's
if it's confirmed,
capacity.
after his confirmation, because I think their age is 70 years.
Well,
So
we
if he was
cannot-
born 1954,
I think it is needless to talk about you know, things we don't know.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's this controversial issues and so. But then the question I ask is, how do you see? I mean, this trajectory sustained in terms of, yes, you talked about the challenges facing the judiciary, which everyone understands, and of course the need to address them frontally. Issues around funding, which has been, sufficiently also taken up by the immediate past CJN. He talked about the need, to fund the judiciary. He said it at different fora that the judiciary is underfunded. And of course, the need for the government and for the executive arm to rise up to the occasion. Do you see, the current acting CJN, and perhaps if it's confirmed, along with the team, because it's not just one person, taking up the mantle, taking up the challenge of ensuring that there's effective transformation and repositioning of the judicial system?
unfortunately, they are not. Their offices are not designed to stake their neck out for such struggle. But there's an arm of the judiciary that is supposed to be playing that role for the entire judiciary,
agency?
which is the NBA.
Okay, the Nigerian Bar Association.
But unfortunately, NBA is even a complicit to the problem that we have in the entire judiciary.
Why did you say so?
Okay, let me give you a very good example. A registrar of a court requested money from one of my staff to serve a process, and that money was given to her for transports. Transports.
I hope you're not talking about trivial issues.
It's not trivial. It's a serious matter. It's not trivial.
These are in-house issues.
It's not
Are they
trivial.
not happening?
No,
Is it not a daily occurrence?
See, let me tell you, every facet of judiciary is corrupt, just like you have in executive.
That's a very big one.
No, I am not. I am saying it on national TV. I am not saying that you can ask me. If you ask me a question, I will explain it. But that does not mean that.
It should be a blanket statement.
When I say
we have
every
people
facet, when I say every
integrity
facet,
and character.
when I mean every facet, it doesn't mean everybody.
Oh, okay.
What I mean, I'm talking about all levels, from the Supreme Court down to the Court of Appeal, to the High Court, to Federal High Court, to even
There are corrupt
Magistrate
elements.
Court. There are corrupt elements that are even encouraged by members of the
How they encourage?
encouraged by members of the bench.
I wanted to
This is
give you.
another
I wanted to give you.
fundamental allegation.
I wanted to give you
I
an
don't
example.
want us to go into allegations.
I wanted to give you an example. You didn't want me to talk about it.
Well, example.
Because
we
I
don't
took
want
it
to
up with
mention
a
names
sitting judge,
and
the sitting judge was
things that
supporting the registrar.
we cannot, substantiate. But let me come back to
No,
you.
it's not about.
I'm
sorry,
coming.
sorry, it's not about substantiation. You are not
Okay.
the one who is making allegation. It happened. I'm not telling you what I was told. I'm telling you what happened in the case I was involved in.
It's okay.
Yes.
Abdulhamid.
Yes.
Yeah, still
Yes, sir.
talking about this.
Yes,
President Muhammadu Buhari,
Yes,
in his speech at the swearing in
Yes.
of the acting CJN,
Yes, sir.
said certain things that are very fundamental. He talked about the need for the judiciary not to let Nigerians down, especially at this crucial moment
Yes,
of our national life. We're going into elections, and of course, Nigerians are looking up to the judiciary to dispense justice without fear or favor.
Yes.
The acting CJN has responded. He said they're not going to let Nigerians down.
Yes.
How are you looking at the magnitude of this statement by the president and the response coming from the acting CJN?
Yes. You see, we are going into political matters, and such matters may likely go. There's no way they must go to courts. And then I always say that the Supreme Court, beside the fact that it's an institution that will dispense justice, is still a policy court. It's a unifying factor when it comes to final decision in the country.
Okay.
Now, to take an example of Section 84 of the Electoral Act that traveled up to Supreme Court, or perhaps an action was instituted by the office of the AGF.
That's right.
And they're trying to interpret whether that section is constitutional or unconstitutional.
That's right.
Now, the Supreme Court, in the wisdom of the Supreme Court, which is quite commendable, is that they struck out the matter.
That's right.
The matter has not been decided on the merit. Now, take an example, if that matter has been handed down on the merit, and they say that that section is unconstitutional. What happens to the primary elections?
That took place.
That took place.
That's right.
And then what happened to the general election of some states that has been conducted under that section?
Off-season elections.
Yes.
Right.
So the way and manner the Supreme Court actually, in the wisdom of the Supreme Court that normally dish out, political decisions, is to act as a unifying factor. Sometimes issues of, that could give a setback, to the country. They see it and then try to see that in a mature
Find
manner,
a way out, yeah.
find a way out of the cauldrons. And then in the issue of, the president has made mention of ex parte orders, which they said under the dispensation of the former CJN, he has done a lot, to cope that instances.
Excesses.
Yes, I have seen that being done in the office of the CJN.
Right.
See, as the chairman of the National Judicial Council, some of the justices that handed down some of those decisions were punished. It's on record. Some of them were suspended.
Right.
Some of them were even put on the watch list.
Right. Thank you very much. I wish we could go on and on. The time is not really on our side. We really appreciate your perspectives.
Thank you.
Abdulhamid Mohammed, a senior advocate of Nigeria, and Dario Olabi, a legal practitioner.
Thank you very much.
We really thank you for coming and, of course, your perspectives.
Thank you
We
for
hope that the
having us.
judiciary will rise up to this occasion and, of course, live up to its expectations as Nigerians look forward to dispensation of justice without fear or favor. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you.
On behalf of the guests and the technical crew, my name is Shafiu Suleiman. Enjoy the rest of your day.